What happens when love dies? What if I told you that the ending of your relationship wasn't a failure, but exactly what needed to happen? Every day, people are experiencing the quiet death of love, the silent withdrawal of affection that precedes the final goodbye. You've been trained to fight against it, to see it as something broken that needs fixing. The desperate texts unanswered, the conversations that no longer flow, the touch that feels mechanical rather than magnetic. You've called them rough patches, temporary problems, things that can be worked through with enough effort. But deep down, you've always felt there was something more happening, a natural cycle completing itself. And you're right, the death of love is not a tragedy. It's a completion, a fulfillment of its purpose in your life. Modern society has conditioned you to believe love should be permanent, eternal, and unchanging. Dating apps, romantic comedies, marriage vows, they all reinforce the idea that real love lasts forever, that anything less is failure. When love begins to fade, you're told to work harder, communicate better, see therapists, read relationship books, anything to prevent the inevitable. But what if that conditioning wasn't just unhelpful? What if it was designed to keep you blind to the deeper wisdom of impermanence? The Buddha taught that all things are impermanent, including love. In this video, we're going to reveal what really happens when love dies, why it happens, and how Zen Buddhism offers a radical path to freedom that most people will never discover. From the moment you first experienced love, you were conditioned to believe it was the ultimate goal, something to find, secure, and maintain at all costs. Everything had to have the happily ever after ending, and anything that didn't fit within that framework was dismissed as failure, inadequacy, or bad luck. But what if that conditioning wasn't just unrealistic? What if it was designed to keep you trapped in attachment and suffering? Think back to your childhood. As a child, you naturally understood that things come and go. Friends would enter your life and leave. Interests would captivate you and then fade away. You understood intuitively the flow of life. But what happened when you began to internalize society's messages about love? You were told it's till death do us part. You were taught that real love doesn't die, that if it ends, it wasn't real in the first place. The system taught you that love was the exception to impermanence, the one thing that should remain constant in an ever-changing world. And so, slowly but surely, you stopped recognizing the natural cycles of relationships. Religion and popular culture played massive roles in this conditioning. They didn't teach you how to recognize the signs of love's natural completion, how to gracefully let go, or how to find peace in endings. They taught you to cling, to fix, to desperately hold on, even when holding on caused more suffering than letting go. The entire system is built on the idea that you must fight against impermanence instead of flowing with it. Society became the ultimate enforcer of this belief. Not the authentic wisdom traditions that understood life's cycles, but the commercialized, simplified version that tells you that love should be forever, that endings equal failure, that you should do anything to avoid the pain of loss. Under this model, the death of love is nothing more than a mistake, a tragedy, something to be prevented at all costs. You witness the slow withdrawal of your partner's affection. That's just a phase. You feel the growing distance between you. That's just stress. Everything is stripped of deeper meaning, leaving you fighting against the natural tide instead of riding its waves. But here's what they don't tell you. Some of the greatest spiritual teachers, Buddha, Thich Nhat Hanh, Pema Chodron, all recognize that relationships, like everything else, follow the law of impermanence. They understood that the signs of love's completion weren't failures, but messages guiding us toward greater wisdom. And yet society ridicules those who accept endings gracefully. Talk about letting go of relationships that have run their course, and you'll be labeled cold, uncommitted, or afraid of intimacy. The people who recognize and honor the natural end of love are cast aside as unromantic or cynical. while those who cling desperately to dying relationships are praised as devoted, committed, and worthy of admiration. This isn't an accident, it's social conditioning. If you want to keep people suffering, the first step is making sure they never discover the freedom that comes with acceptance. Because the moment you start paying attention to the signs of love's natural completion, you start realizing something profound. You are not defined by who loves you or who has stopped loving you. Some truths are too deep for YouTube, and we can only scratch the surface here. The real wisdom lies in ancient texts and teachings that have guided people through love's cycles for centuries. For those who want to go deeper, The Wisdom of Insecurity by Alan Watts explores these concepts in profound detail, showing how our desperate attempts to make love permanent actually prevent us from experiencing it fully. The link to this transformative book is in the description below. The real reason society doesn't want you to recognize when love is ending is because it reveals a crack in the illusion. It shows you that relationships aren't just happily ever after fairy tales. They're temporary teachers appearing in your life for specific lessons. Once you start seeing the patterns of beginnings and endings, you can't unsee them, and that's where the real awakening begins. Because the next question is, if the death of love isn't random or tragic, then what is it? Why does it happen? And why do the signs become unmistakable once you know what to look for? Let's go deeper. At some point in your life, you've experienced the unmistakable signs that love is withdrawing. Your partner is physically present but emotionally gone, sitting beside you while their spirit has already left. Conversations that once flowed effortlessly now feel forced, shallow, obligatory. Acts of kindness that were once spontaneous now feel mechanical, performed out of duty rather than genuine care. These aren't accidents or temporary problems. They are messages, signals that the natural cycle of this relationship is completing itself. And the more you start paying attention, the clearer they become. But here's the real secret. The death of love is not a failure. It is a completion. The universe is not a collection of permanent, unchanging entities. It is an ever-flowing river of impermanence and change. Every relationship you enter has a natural beginning, middle, and end. Some last for decades, others for years, months, or even days. But all relationships, without exception, are impermanent. Zen Buddhism calls this mujo, the fundamental reality that everything is in flux, always changing, always moving. The Buddha himself made impermanence a cornerstone of his teaching, recognizing that attachment to what must change is the root of suffering. The great Zen master Dogen wrote extensively about the nature of time and change, seeing each moment as complete in itself, yet flowing into the next. He understood that relationships too exist within this flowing river of impermanence. They arise when conditions are right, persist while those conditions remain, and dissolve when conditions change. This isn't tragic. It's the nature of existence itself. But mainstream culture avoids this topic, dismissing it as pessimistic or defeatist, despite overwhelming evidence of its truth. Consider this. The entire natural world is built on cycles: birth, growth, decay, and death. Seasons change, day turns to night, tides rise and fall, stars explode and are reborn. Your body itself is in constant flux, with cells dying and being replaced continuously. So why would love be the one exception to this universal law? The answer is it's not. Love too follows the law of impermanence. It appears when conditions are right, flourishes for a time, and eventually completes its cycle. And synchronicities are proof of that hidden design. They are the glitches in the matrix, the moments where the underlying order of the universe reveals itself. But if the death of love is natural, then the question becomes, how do you recognize its signs? And more importantly, how do you respond to them with wisdom rather than desperate clinging? Some believe these signs are messages from your higher self, guiding you toward growth and liberation. Others believe they are signals from the universe, showing you that this particular relationship has fulfilled its purpose in your life. Whatever their origin, one thing is certain. The signs of dying love are not to be ignored or fought against. They are invitations to wake up, to pay attention, and to shift your awareness from desperate clinging to conscious acceptance. Because the moment you start recognizing them, the illusion of permanence begins to crumble. And that leads to the next question. If the death of love follows predictable patterns, what exactly are those patterns? What happens beneath the surface when love begins to withdraw? And more importantly, how can you respond in a way that leads to freedom rather than prolonged suffering? The answer lies in understanding the hidden mechanics behind love's natural completion. Let's go deeper. If the signs of dying love are messages guiding you toward liberation, then the next question is, what exactly are these signs? What happens when love begins its natural withdrawal? And how can you recognize it before the final goodbye? The truth is, there are clear signals that appear when love is completing its cycle. And once you understand these signals, you'll realize that you've been missing them your entire life. At the core of dying love lies a simple but profound principle. Energy never lies. While words can deceive and actions can be performative, energy is always honest. Modern psychology confirms that we pick up on subtle cues from others, micro-expressions, voice tonality, body language, that signal their true feelings even when they're trying to hide them. This is why you often feel something has changed long before you have concrete evidence. Your intuition is sensing the shift in energy that precedes the explicit ending. Have you ever noticed the unmistakable difference between someone who is fully present with you and someone who is merely physically there? The person may sit across from you, nodding and responding, but something vital is missing. Their spirit has already left the relationship, even if their body remains. This is presence turning into absence without movement. The first major sign that love is completing its cycle. But this goes deeper than psychology. Zen Buddhism teaches that all things have a particular energy or quality, what the Japanese call ki. When love is alive, the ki between two people is vibrant, flowing, generative. When love begins to die, this ki becomes stagnant, forced, or completely absent. You can feel it in the quality of silence between you, once comfortable, now awkward. You can sense it in their touch, once electric, now mechanical. The essence of what made your connections special has begun to withdraw. Now combine this with the second major sign, communication shrinking into obligation. When love is alive, words flow naturally. Conversations expand, deepen, and feel effortless. But when love begins to die, communication becomes noticeably different. Messages get shorter, responses take longer. Conversations that once lasted hours now end in minutes. There's a flatness to the interaction, a sense that words are being carefully measured rather than freely given. In Zen tradition, this is called dead speech. Words that come from the head rather than the heart, speech without genuine presence behind it. The person may still ask about your day, but there's no real curiosity behind the question. They may still say, "I love you," but the words lack the resonance they once carried. This leads to the third major sign, kindness turning into duty. When love is alive, acts of care flow spontaneously from a place of genuine desire. There's a joy in doing things for the other person, a natural impulse to nurture and support. But when love begins to die, these same actions take on a different quality. The person still performs thoughtful gestures, but they feel rehearsed, obligatory. They bring you coffee in the morning, not because they're moved to, but because it's what they've always done. They remember your birthday not out of excitement, but out of obligation. The form remains, but the essence has departed. When you notice these signs appearing consistently in your relationship, it's not a call to panic or to frantically try to revive what's fading. It's an invitation to practice what Zen calls clear seeing. honest, non-judgmental awareness of reality as it is, not as you wish it to be. One of the most powerful tools for this clarity is meditation. When you sit in silent awareness, watching your thoughts and feelings without attachment, the truth becomes more apparent. You begin to see the relationship clearly, without the distortion of fear or fantasy. Start by simply observing what is, without immediately trying to fix or change it. This practice of clear seeing leads to a profound insight. The root of suffering in dying relationships is not the end of love itself, but our desperate clinging to what is already gone. The Buddha taught that attachment, tanha, is the cause of suffering, dukkha. When we cling to people, expecting them to love us in the same way forever, we set ourselves up for inevitable pain. The problem isn't that love ends. The problem is that we demand it shouldn't. Now, skeptics will argue that true love should last forever, that if you really love someone, your feelings won't change. But this view contradicts both human experience and the fundamental nature of reality. Because love, like everything else, is not a permanent state, but a flowing energy that naturally rises and falls. The key is knowing how to work with this flow instead of against it, how to honor what has been without desperate attempts to resurrect what is no longer alive. Because once you start intentionally aligning with reality rather than fighting it, relationships don't just end, they complete. And that leads to an even bigger revelation. Why do some people find peace and growth in the ending of love, while others remain trapped in bitterness and resentment? The answer may surprise you. Let's go deeper. If love's completion is a natural part of life's cycle, why do some people move through it with grace, while others remain stuck in suffering for years? Why do certain individuals seem to find wisdom in the ending, while others only find pain? The answer is simple: awareness, acceptance, and the willingness to let go. Most people live their entire lives fighting against impermanence, trapped in a mindset of control, attachment, and desperate clinging. They are conditioned to believe that if love ends, something has gone wrong. This belief system acts as a mental barrier that prevents them from seeing the wisdom and opportunity in endings. Think of it like this. Imagine you're trying to hold water in your tightly clenched fist. The harder you squeeze, the more water escapes. This is exactly what happens when we desperately try to hold on to love that's naturally completing its cycle. The tighter we cling, the faster it slips away. The same applies to relationships. If your partner's love is naturally withdrawing, desperate attempts to pull it back only accelerate the process. Now contrast that with people who understand impermanence. These individuals are not superhuman or emotionless. They simply understand the nature of reality. They don't dismiss the pain of loss, but they don't amplify it through resistance either. They acknowledge what is happening, feel the natural grief that comes with endings, and then allow that grief to move through them, rather than becoming stuck in it. And here's the fascinating part. The more you accept impermanence, the more peace you find in life's inevitable changes. This is because of two key factors: non-attachment and present moment awareness. Non-attachment doesn't mean not caring. It means caring without clinging. It means loving fully while it lasts, and letting go gracefully when it's time. This is the essence of what the Buddha taught, that we can appreciate the beauty of experiences, relationships, and feelings without demanding they last forever. Present moment awareness means living fully in the now, neither dwelling on the past nor anxiously projecting into the future. When love is present, you enjoy it completely. When it begins to fade, you notice this reality without denial or panic. This is why some people seem to navigate relationship endings with remarkable equilibrium. They are unconsciously practicing these principles. Their awareness is anchored in the present moment, not lost in regret about the past or fear about the future. This is the practice of mindfulness that Zen has taught for centuries. Moving on to the practice of letting go. In Buddhism, letting go is not a passive resignation, but an active process of releasing attachment. When you notice the signs of love's completion, the natural human tendency is to grasp tighter, to try harder, to desperately pull back what is withdrawing. But this only creates more suffering for both people. Instead, Zen teaches the practice of non-resistance, allowing what is happening to happen without fighting against it. This doesn't mean giving up or not caring. It means aligning yourself with reality rather than struggling against it. When love begins to fade, rather than asking, "How can I make them love me again?" ask instead, "What is this teaching me? How can I honor what has been while allowing what is now?" This shift in perspective changes everything, because relationships that end are not failures. They are completed cycles, each containing its own perfect wisdom and lesson. But there's one more crucial element: self-return. People who find peace in endings are those who understand that when external love withdraws, it's an invitation to return to yourself. When someone stops loving you, the most important question is not, "How do I get their love back?" but "Who am I when I am not being loved by this person?" This question initiates a profound journey of self-discovery. Because synchronicities are not coincidences, they are a form of communication between you and the deeper intelligence of the universe. So now the real question is, how do you strengthen this connection to yourself? How do you recognize, interpret, and respond to the death of love in a way that leads to wisdom rather than prolonged suffering? The answer lies in learning how to decode the signs and respond with consciousness. And that's exactly what we're about to uncover. Let's go deeper. The death of love is happening around you all the time. The problem is most people don't know how to recognize it, or worse, they dismiss the signs and fight against the natural completion. But once you understand how to identify these patterns and respond to them with wisdom, you'll begin to see that even endings contain profound gifts. The first step to working with love's impermanence is awareness. You need to shift your mindset from seeing endings as failures to understanding them as completions. The universe communicates the death of love through clear signs, and these signs will often appear in three distinct forms: presence, turning into absence; communication, shrinking into obligation; and kindness becoming duty. Presence turning into absence without moving. This is when someone is physically with you but energetically absent. They may sit beside you, but their spirit is elsewhere. Their eyes no longer light up when they see you. Their body language has subtly shifted. They're there, but not really there. This energetic withdrawal always precedes the physical departure. Communication, shrinking into obligation. Words are not just information, they carry energy. When love is dying, communication changes noticeably. Conversations that once flowed easily now feel forced. Texts that were once immediate now take hours for a response. The quality of speech becomes flatter, less enthusiastic, more measured. It's as if the person is carefully rationing their words, rather than sharing freely. Kindness turning into duty. Actions speak louder than words, but the energy behind those actions speaks loudest of all. When love is completing its cycle, kind gestures that once flowed from genuine care now feel mechanical. The morning coffee is still made, but without the smile that used to accompany it. Birthday gifts are still given, but they feel generic rather than deeply personal. The form remains, but the heart behind it has changed. So how do you respond when you notice these signs? It starts with accepting reality as it is. When these signs appear, stop and reflect. What is actually happening here? Not what do I wish was happening, not what am I afraid is happening, but what is truly present in this moment. One of the most powerful tools you can use is what Zen calls beginner's mind. Approaching the situation without preconceptions, as if seeing it for the first time. This might mean sitting in meditation, simply observing your thoughts and feelings about the relationship without getting caught in stories about what it all means. The more you practice this clear seeing, the more you'll notice patterns forming. You'll recognize when your mind is creating narratives that cause suffering and when it's seeing reality clearly. But here's the secret. Recognizing the death of love is only the first step. Responding to it with wisdom is what transforms pain into growth. If you see the signs that love is completing its cycle, the question becomes not, how do I fix this? But how do I honor this transition with dignity and grace? And this leads us to the final piece of the puzzle: how to consciously work with the death of love rather than fighting against it. Because once you understand how to approach these endings, you can begin using them as powerful catalysts for awakening. Let's go deeper. Recognizing the signs of dying love is one thing, but learning how to respond to them with wisdom is where the real transformation lies. The truth is, the end of love is not just a loss to be endured. It is an opportunity for profound spiritual growth. The question is, are you paying attention? And more importantly, are you willing to let go? Most people treat the death of love as something to be fixed or fought against, as if endings are always failures. But in reality, the completion of love is often exactly what needs to happen for both people to continue their growth. Those who find peace in endings are not just lucky, they are practicing ancient wisdom, often without knowing it. So how do you use love's impermanence as a path to freedom? It comes down to 3 key steps: seeing clearly, letting go, and returning to self. See clearly. When you notice the signs of withdrawing love, resist the urge to deny or rationalize them. Instead, practice what Zen calls just seeing, observing reality without adding your stories, judgments, or fears. If your partner's presence has become absence, simply notice it. If their communication has become obligation, simply acknowledge it. If their kindness has become duty, simply see it for what it is. The key is to be honest with yourself about what is actually happening, not what you wish was happening. The Buddha taught that seeing reality clearly is the beginning of wisdom. Let go. This is perhaps the most difficult but most liberating step. Letting go doesn't mean not caring or giving up prematurely. It means releasing your attachment to how things should be. When love begins to fade, there's a natural impulse to grasp tighter, to try harder, to somehow pull back what is withdrawing. This only creates more suffering. Instead, practice what Zen calls the way of non-clinging, allowing what needs to end without forcing or resisting. One of the fastest ways to practice letting go is to focus on your breath. When you feel the pain of loss arising, take 3 deep breaths, and with each exhale, imagine releasing your grip just a little bit more. This simple practice helps you step out of the mental stories that cause suffering and into the present moment where healing is possible. Return to self. When external love withdraws, it creates space for something profound, a return to the love that can never be taken away. In Buddhism, particularly Zen, there is a recognition that our true nature is already complete, already whole. External relationships can complement this wholeness but should never be its source. When someone stops loving you, it's an invitation to ask the most important question: who am I beyond this relationship? What remains when this external love is gone? This is not just a philosophical question, it's a doorway to liberation. People who navigate endings with grace are those who use these moments to rediscover their inherent completeness. They understand that while relationships may be impermanent, the awareness that experiences them is unchanging. And here's the most important part. When you respond to the death of love with clear seeing and letting go, rather than denial and clinging, something remarkable happens. The pain doesn't disappear. You still feel the natural grief of loss, but it no longer has the same power over you. It moves through you rather than getting stuck. It becomes a teacher rather than a tormentor. The universe rewards this alignment with reality. People who respond to endings with wisdom often find that their capacity for authentic connection deepens. They begin to experience love not as something to possess, but as an energy to appreciate while it's present. They are not waiting for relationships to fulfill them. They are already whole, already complete in themselves. And as a result, the connections they form come from freedom rather than need, from abundance rather than lack. And this is where you must make a choice. Now that you understand the signs of dying love, how they work, and how to respond to them with wisdom, what will you do with this knowledge? Because the final step is to integrate this wisdom into your daily life, to step fully into the path of awareness, acceptance, and alignment. And that's exactly what we're going to do next. Let's go deeper. Now that you know the truth about the death of love, the real question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Because most people, after hearing everything we've just uncovered, will go right back to their old patterns. They'll notice the signs of withdrawing love, feel a moment of clarity, and then fall back into denial. They'll see that their partner has energetically left the relationship, but they'll convince themselves it's just a phase. They'll receive the message that this cycle is complete, but they'll ignore it, desperately clinging to what is already gone. They'll stay in the loop of suffering, waiting for things to go back to how they were, waiting for love to return, waiting for the impossible. But here's the truth. What is withdrawn rarely returns through force or manipulation. The system has trained you to fight against these natural cycles, to see endings as something to be prevented at all costs. But now you see it. Now you understand that love, like everything else, follows the law of impermanence. It appears when conditions are right, flourishes for a time, and eventually completes its cycle. And more importantly, you are not diminished when a relationship ends. You are simply being prepared for the next phase of your journey. So what does this mean? It means that the death of love is not happening to you. It is happening for you. Every sign of withdrawal, every conversation that doesn't flow, every touch that feels empty is an invitation to see clearly, to let go, and to return to your own wholeness. An invitation to trust the cycle of beginnings and endings, to align with reality rather than fighting against it. And most importantly, an invitation to discover who you truly are, beyond the roles of lover, partner, or spouse. If there's one thing you take away from this, let it be this. Do not ignore the signs. The universe speaks through these patterns, and if you don't listen, if you keep clinging to what needs to end, you remain stuck in suffering. But if you listen, if you start treating these signals as meaningful, if you follow where they lead, toward acceptance and letting go, your entire relationship with love can transform. The people who find peace in the midst of endings are not lucky. They are practicing awareness. They are honoring reality. They are trusting the process. And because of that, they move through life with a grace that seems effortless, as if something is working behind the scenes to guide them toward growth, because something is. But here's the thing. There's far more to this than can be shared in a single video. The ancient wisdom traditions have always understood these cycles of beginnings and endings, offering insights that go beyond our modern understanding of relationships. Now you've seen the signs. You've felt the truth of love's natural cycles. Now it's time to stop fighting and start flowing. Pay attention. Honor the endings. Find the gift within the loss. Because once you step into alignment with reality, you'll realize that the death of love is not the end of your story. It's just the completion of one chapter and the beginning of another.